All right. Hi, everyone. We are back for the second episode of our Movies, Music, and Adda channel. Today, we are going to talk about our favorite comedy movies in Bollywood. Uh, First, I would like to welcome three of my panelists. Two of them have been regular on my cricket channel as well. So, welcome Prince and Jolin. And joining us for the first time, Somu. Somu, welcome to our channel. Hope to have a really interesting discussion. I know all of us are movie buffs, so let's get started, guys. Prince, we lost your screen.
Yeah, just give me one moment. I'd taken down a few of my good favorite movies.
And Prince, as usual, has done his homework.
Always, just like Jadeja, always ready.
You can sit here, Diana. You want to just listen in? Okay.
So I may not be as prepared as you guys are, but I am also a kind of like a movie buff. I think I spend literally a day during like hourly per day in lockdown to be on OTT platform, correct? So I'm not that just during lockdown, but I think I used to watch I think 2 or 3 movies in theater like regularly. So I'm that kind of movie buff, and not just me, my wife also follows Bollywood, Hollywood, I think pretty closely. So I think she probably would join probably starting next podcast, like video log. But let's see.
Okay.
That'd be
Sounds
awesome.
good. Yeah. The more the merrier. Okay. So Bollywood and comedy, right? So let's historically start. So Bollywood essentially, when we started making movies, talkies as they used to be called earlier, uh, comedy was not something we did a lot, right? Initially, if you look at the initial part of Bollywood history, most of our movies were social dramas, and comedy was not the primary focus of Bollywood movies. Uh, Comedy started getting introduced in movies in bits and parts. There were actors like Bhagwan Dada who brought the comedic element into the movies, but even those movies were not out and out comedies. I would say historically, if you talk about comedy movies, I think the one director who brought in considerable dose of comedy to Indian movies was Rishikesh Mukherjee. So Rishikesh Mukherjee was one of the earliest directors who started making comedy movies. So I thought the way we want to approach this video blog is try to walk through different eras and talk about these directors and comedy movies, because that way we can also show the logical the way comedy progressed through the years in Bollywood. So like I said, I think earlier movies had bits and pieces of comedy. I think Mahmood was the biggest comedy star. He was our first big comic superstar, and he started getting major roles in movies in the 60s. But Rishikesh Mukherjee was the one who actually made out and out comedy movies. He was one of the first directors. So let's start with since Avik is the most prepared here. Avik, let's start with you. Let's talk about some memorable Rishikesh Mukherjee comedies. Avik, you're on mute.
The problem with Rishikesh Mukherjee movies and Basu Chatterjee movies is that you can't. I mean, it's unfair to categorize them as comedies only.
True.
They're just very good movies in general.
Very good movies with considerable amount of comic element in most movies. Right. With a lot of humor.
A bit of humor, bit of pathos, bit of humanity, realism, everything, right? So I've picked a few of his movies which are predominantly comedy, if you say.
Right, yeah.
Less of a romantic comedy and more of a comedy movie. The first one which comes to mind is Golmaal. I mean, you cannot beat Golmaal. So Amol Palekar, Utpal Dutt, genius, absolute genius. I mean, the entire ensemble cast he had these recurring characters or actors who he always had, like the Knocker. I mean, the Ramu Kaka Knocker was the same guy in many movies. So that entire ensemble cast was awesome.
I think unforgettable role was Utpal Dutt in Golmaal. Seriously, like
Bhavani
मैं
Shankar,
मैं तुम्हें बंगाल का रसगुल्ला खिलाऊंगा and
Mathura ka petha khilao.
पेठा खिलाऊंगा. It's just unforgettable.
Beta Ram Prasad.
So I like
Golmaal, a definite classic. Yeah.
Golmaal, Chupke Chupke. What else?
Khubsurat was also good.
Khubsurat was good, but Khubsurat, I thought the movie was a little, I mean, less of comedy, more of a good movie. It's just a good movie. So I didn't name that. Angur Rishikesh Mukherjee? Or no?
Gulzar.
No.
Gulzar. Okay. So
But yeah, that
then
was
that's
another
how.
amazing movie. Sanjeev Kumar, like
So
amazing.
I've not mentioned it in my top 15, but I like Naram Garam. So all these Amol Palekar movies were fantastic. Naram Garam, Shaukin. Then I think Shaukin was Basu Chatterjee or Rishikesh.
Basu Chatterjee.
Okay, so I get confused between the two because both of them made such realistic cinema with a element of humor that it's very hard to know which one is Mukherjee and which one is Basu Chatterjee.
Was Choti Si Baat also Basu Chatterjee? Choti Si Baat?
Yes.
Rishikesh was.
Yeah.
Oh, Basu Chatterjee. Okay, so that's another movie which I wanted to mention, but that's also not an out-and-out comedy. That was like, so that was the mother of the. So Hitch was copied from that movie, I believe. I mean, maybe someone saw Choti Si Baat and then made Hitch.
Yeah.
Will Smith. So
And then they made Partner again.
and then they made Partner again, and
So what one interesting observation about Rishikesh Mukherjee, right? Rishikesh Mukherjee, if you look at it, Rishikesh Mukherjee actually made some of the biggest stars do these, smallish
normal roles.
which was amazing, right? He cast Amitabh Bachchan, he cast Dharmendra, he cast Rekha, he cast Rajesh Khanna. I mean, Anand again, it cannot be categorized as comedy, but even the comic element in Anand is spectacular, right? I mean, it's only for part of the movie, but Rishikesh Mukherjee was spectacular. And the great thing about Rishikesh Mukherjee comedy, in my view, was it was very relatable humor. It was not the slapstick kind of comedy, right? It was it was not laugh out loud. It was situational comedy, and it was not laugh out loud comedy, but it was something that kept a smile on your face throughout. So his comedy was very, very nuanced and something most people enjoyed. And I think I want to again reiterate the point that Prince made, that his movies were, you can't really call them out and out comedy, but some of his movies were predominantly comedies, but his movies always had left you with a nice thought behind. It was not mindless comedy.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I have a point. So any good movie, I judge it by its longevity. So when I see a Rishikesh Mukherjee movie, even now, I find it funny. So if it has survived those decades, right, and change in sensibilities,
Excellent point.
then I find any movie. So any movie is great if it survived that time change, right? So if it's funny in 70s,
it survives the test
now,
of time. Yeah. Completely agree.
Then it's a very good movie then for me.
Excellent point. I think any work of art, that is how it should be judged, right? That it should still be relevant, and I agree. Rishikesh Mukherjee films are definitely relevant. Somu Jwalin, any memories of Rishikesh Mukherjee films?
Well, I absolutely love the movie Chupke Chupke. I think it was a remake of a Bengali movie, Choddobeshi Kichu Chilo.
Yes, that's correct.
They remade it, and I thought, I have never found Dharmendra so likable in any other movie, actually, as much as I did in that movie. And Amitabh actually had a very smaller role compared to him. He didn't have much of a role in that movie, but
he had a fabulous role. Amitabh's role was very small, but his role was
just the scene where he's trying to teach botany
to Jaya Bachchan.
Corolla.
Oh, Corolla.
It was fabulously done. So yeah.
And
फूल, and that part है, फूल होते भी फूल नहीं है. नहीं, गोभी का गोभी फूल होते भी फूल नहीं है, वो गोभी है.
Yeah.
And such an angry young man image, and he Rishikesh Mukherjee broke him down completely into a mellow, scared, nervous guy.
Right.
Brilliant. I mean, brilliant characterization, I think, because
Yeah,
you can't imagine Amitabh Bachchan.
I remember that scene where Amitabh Bachchan is like, मैं सबको बता दूंगा कि आप कौन हो, ये कौन है और आप भी कौन है. Then असरानी
मैं नहीं हूँ प्रशांत.
मैं कौन हूँ, मैं तो वही हूँ. नहीं, फिर मैं for safety sake वो भी बता दूंगा.
Yeah, no, it was amazing, and I'm just glad he accepted that role. It was lengthwise, it was quite short compared to Dharmendra's role, but yeah, it was. And Om Prakash was also amazing in it, actually, that movie.
Oh yeah, I mean the entire cast, even
Asrani also.
Asrani and Keshto Mukherjee, the driver.
Yeah.
James.
I remember that, James, and I remember that scene, right? क्या आज खिलेगा बाग में गुलाब, ए साखी पिला दे दो घूंट,
एक गिलास जुलाब,
बोलते नहीं एक गिलास, तो अभी वो धर्मेंद्र कंपनी शराब, बोलते नहीं वो तो गालिब ने लिखा है, हम कुछ और पिलाएंगे. And then Dharmendra says, "Ek glass julab."
And in that song, Apke Sajan Savan Mein, like Om Prakash is watching Asrani eat the samosas.
Right.
It's like brilliant direction.
Those nuances, Rishikesh Mukherjee was great at capturing those.
I think only movie I didn't enjoy was the last one he made with
Jhoot Bole Kawa Kaate.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that much.
I actually even like that, which is the funny part, because I really like Anil Kapoor. I actually enjoyed that movie also.
Jwalin?
Yeah, so I think Rishikesh Mukherjee, I think all-time favorite, my movie is Anand. Obviously, it's not a comedy movie and not the topic today, but I think Anand is like all-time favorite movie for me. So I have followed his work quite closely. Probably I don't remember all the movies, but one of the movie I think I remember beyond Golmaal, Chupke Chupke is Bawarchi. I think.
Oh yeah, of course, amazing.
Rajesh Khanna was the cast, and I think they remade that, or probably I would say inspired with Govinda and
Hero number one. Hero number one, right?
Yeah, maybe hero number. I don't remember his movie name, but yeah. So I think that was also a good movie. Maybe not an out-and-out comedy with some social message, but it was also a good movie. I think a unique concept. At that point in time, I think it was really funny, correct? When someone is inside, manuring all the family members, and that time I think everyone was like kind of used to watch family kind of movies, correct? Out and out, like you have Babuji, you have Dadi, you have kids around. It's you have a joint family, 3 brothers, 3 daughter-in-law. So it was all fun. I think that movie I remember because they remade it, or probably they took an inspiration.
So again, interesting trivia, that was also remade from a Bengali movie.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah. So Robbie Ghosh had played the role that he played, with Rajesh Khanna played in that.
Speaking of Bawarchi, actually, does any of you know how a young A.K. Angal looked like? Because I have never seen him.
No, but A.K. Angal was born old.
Okay. Just confirming.
Yeah, I don't think A.K. Angal, I don't think was even acting when he was young. I think he started acting when he was middle age. I think he had an office job or something.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think he and Alok Nath was, I think, the second person who I don't think anybody has seen them young.
Yeah.
Alok Nath, the youngest I remember, Alok Nath is from Maine Pyar Kiya, where he was already the father of the...
I think I remember him youngest from Bunyad.
Bunyad.
Haveli Ram.
But in Bunyad also, even he eventually for most of the show, he was old, right?
Yeah.
So another movie I can recollect because I have followed Amitabh's work quite closely. Namak Haram, I think is also
the Rishikesh Mukherjee. Yes.
Awesome.
Maybe not a out and out comedy movie, but yeah, it was fun watching.
It was amazing. So of course we'll do another session on Amitabh Bachchan. Of course, I mean we
Namak Haram or Namak Halal? Which one?
Halal was comedy.
Namak Halal was comedy, yeah.
But Namak Halal was not Rishikesh Mukherjee. It was Namak Halal was Prakash Mehra.
Namak Haram was very serious.
Namak Haram was Rishikesh.
Very serious.
It was very serious. Very.
I think you're confusing the two movies. Haram was the one.
No. But even so, so that's what I think, Jolene, you said. Right? It's not a comedy, but again, there was very little comedy in the beginning, right?
That's not a comedy.
That's definitely not a comedy at all.
It's definitely not a comedy. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's
It
definitely
was
not
a
a
very
comedy.
hard-hitting movie, actually.
I now remembered another movie which I really like, which is again Utpal Dutt and Farooq Sheikh, Kisi Se Na Kehna. I really love that movie. I don't think that's is that Basu
No, that's
Chatterjee or
not. It's not Rishikesh. It's not Rishikesh Mukherjee.
No, it is
So it's,
Rishikesh Mukherjee movie.
Is it?
Kisi
Kisi
se,
se na
yeah,
kehna?
yeah.
I
With
I
Utpal
I
Dutt,
love that
Dipti
movie.
Nawal and Farooq Sheikh. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I mean the movie is very good, of course.
Saeed
Uh,
Jaffrey. I really like that movie.
as far as Farooq Sheikh goes, I think Nasiruddin Shah, Farooq Sheikh's some of the best comedies. I think Sai Paranspe did it, like Katha.
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 Oh, you're
Amazing,
right. Kisi
amazing.
se na kehna is Rishikesh Mukherjee. I just checked. So again,
So
amazing.
So I
Katha.
don't even notice who the director is because I know Basu Chatterjee and Rishikesh Mukherjee made the same kind of realistic cinema, and it doesn't matter who made what, but I just love those movies.
Katha had like her daughter also acting in one of the roles, and it was just amazing.
Boss's daughter.
The character that Nasiruddin Shah played, like of this shy guy, and then Farooq Sheikh was this flamboyant guy.
Farooq Sheikh really nailed that role, right?
He doesn't even use most of the keys that he has in his keychain. He just has like a bunch of keys. It was good. Super confident guy, very nice. And yeah, I mean, again, it brings to mind Chashme Baddur also. That guy.
Yeah, same Sai Paranjpe. Sai Paranjpe.
Vaswani, what was his name? He's no
Vivek
longer.
Vaswani, yeah.
And then of course David Dhawan wrecked it
He
by remaking it.
Yeah, it was.
Although now that's a perfect segue to the next director, right? Who did comedy? I think Rishikesh Mukherjee was in the 70s, and early part of 80s. He was the one who was, responsible for taking the Bollywood comedies forward. But then I think the next big name for comedies was David Dhawan, right? And of course, after we talk about these specific filmmakers, then we will talk about those one-off great comedy movies. Of course, we'll do that.
I think also, I mean, David Dhawan, yes, definitely. Yeah, David Dhawan. And actually, a lot of his career, he owes it to Govinda, actually. Because the way Govinda could act, I don't think anyone else could have pulled it.
And honestly, I mean, I used to really enjoy David Dhawan movies back in the days. I mean, the comedies, especially the Govinda, and not only Govinda, I like the movie he made with Salman also, Judwa. Judwa was very entertaining. And
my favorite was Divana Mastana. I love that movie.
Awesome.
I mean,
it's
that's
very,
a
very
copy
funny.
of an English movie. So I've seen the English movie, which is, it's a copy of an English movie. So, but it's been made better than the English movie. That's the best part.
Yeah,
And the
probably
performances.
one of the bearable movie, I would say. Because of Anil Kapoor, I would say Divana Mastana was fun to watch, straight to watch.
No, even Johnny Lever had a great role in Divana Mastana as Anil Kapoor's sidekick.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Poor bhai.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ghafoor Bhai.
It was amazing. Yeah, but
No, and all the Govinda and David Dhawan movies I used to enjoy at that time. Hasina Maan Jayegi I really like.
I even liked Coolie number 1, and they made
great.
again. He messed it up again. Like again, he made a.
Oh man. I mean,
was so
messed
bad.
it up is an understatement of
No,
the
so
century.
here's the thing. I honestly think the problem was he did not do anything different from, he should have at least done something to it to add like a new element to it. Otherwise, it seemed like a complete repetition. And Coolie number 1, at least in my head, it is still very fresh. Govinda's Coolie number 1. I mean, it was like, when I watched the new Coolie number 1, I felt as if I was watching, a poor imitation of the original, right?
Absolutely, really bad imitation of the original.
Oh, man,
and,
it was torture.
it was
I just saw it
really
for
bad.
15 minutes.
Even
really
if you look at the dancing and everything, this looks like so stylized, the way he's dancing and stuff. It's not like Govinda, how he moves, it's nothing like that. Because there is a couple of common songs also in both the movies. So, yeah,
but the sad part is that David Dhawan has a capable actor in his son. And if he works a little bit on the script and doesn't remake his movies.
Right. I don't know why he wants to remake his movies. Right. Exactly.
And I think Varun Dhawan is probably the ideal foil for such massy movie. So if you make a little effort in the comic elements and the script,
in fact,
I think you can make a successful movie. But don't copy it, na.
Don't copy. And yeah, it's
don't
like
copy the movie.
No, because honestly, I enjoyed Main Tera Hero. Main Tera Hero was a time pass movie. I mean, it wasn't a great movie, but it was at least entertaining. and it was not a remake. I mean, at least not, it was not. It was a remake of a South Indian movie, but it was not a remake of his own movie.
In fact, I enjoyed what's the other son of David Dhawan? The other
Rohit Dhawan,
yeah, his directorial debut
Desi
with
Boys, Desi
John.
Boys.
Yeah, that was not bad actually. That was okay. But
Yeah. So I think it's the initial movies. I mean, one of my favorite David Dhawan Govinda movies is Shola aur Shabnam. That was the first movie in that line of comedies.
was that
That was the
Divya
first
Bharti?
comedy he made.
Divya Bharti?
Divya Bharti, Shola aur Shabnam. He was a very, very, and again, Anupam Kher had a really good role.
He's
In
like
fact,
a
Partial
colonel or
comedy,
something, right?
Yeah.
Anupam Kher is
But the
like,
second half was too intense for me.
second half was intense. But
Too
first
intense.
half was like, it was full of comedy. And that was the beginning of their journey into movies dominated by comedy. Because Govinda and David Dhawan's first movie was a movie called Takatwar, with Sanjay Dutt, Govinda, and then David Dhawan directed it. And then he did Muqabla. And then third movie was Shola aur Shabnam, which became a huge hit. And of course, then came the others. In fact, I used to really enjoy that. And again, purely, and I think Somu, you made that comment earlier, right? Govinda was an ideal actor for those kind of movies, right? Sajan Chale Sasural. I mean, if you look at it, the premise was absurd, but Govinda made those movies bearable with his performance.
he just made it work somehow. He just made it work, everything. And it was just very sad to see Varun Dhawan trying to recreate that role again. 'Cause
No,
I actually compare Govinda to Jim Carrey. I think they are very underrated because Jim Carrey also has a very good range. So he can do out and out comedy and do serious scenes and emotional scenes. Govinda also could do that. And that's why he was in the top of the Bollywood at that point, because his movies were not all super. I mean, they were comic, but he had the ability to carry emotional scenes also. So he would connect.
So
yeah.
talking about that, another David Dhawan Govinda movie, which was not an out and comedy, but again, it was a good, very entertaining movie, was a movie called Swarg. And talking about Govinda's emotional performance, there he has a particular scene. He becomes an actor and he has to act as if his sister-in-law has died, and he does an emotional scene. So Govinda was very good in emotional scenes also.
Yeah.
And his career was, of course, dominated by these comedies that David Dhawan directed. I think they did 17 movies, I believe, together.
Yeah.
Andolan was another movie he acted really well in. Andolan
Yeah,
was
serious,
another
and
movie.
he had a
I
serious
think
role.
the first Govinda movie I saw was Hatya. That,
Yeah.
you know,
I think his brother directed it, right? Kirti Kumar.
Kirti, yeah.
I think that movie won national award, or someone won national award for that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hatya was a good movie. But yeah, so David Dhawan comedies used to be very enjoyable. But I also think, somehow our sensibilities have also changed a little bit. Somehow I feel not all David Dhawan movies stand the test of time now. Because some of the movies I have seen now, and they don't seem that funny. But some do. Like, I think Hero Number One was very entertaining. And Hero Number One was copied from, different movies, right? Bawarchi was one.
Right.
The different aspects were copied from those movies. And I think another key player in those David Dhawan movies was Kader Khan. Kader Khan, Shakti Kapoor, those guys played a major role in those.
In fact,
Dule
lot of the
Raja,
movies.
one of my
Oh, I love Dule Raja.
I love Dule Raja.
I love the scene where he has all these glasses on.
And even that's a copy where a dhaba is made in a hotel premise. Even that's an English movie copy.
But Dule Raja, I don't think is David Dhawan.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it is. No, it is, I think.
No, Harmesh
Raja.
Malhotra. That's what I said. Harmesh Malhotra.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But I
Dule
really
Raja
like
is
that movie.
Not David Dhawan.
But
It
yeah.
was so David Dhawan like.
But if you remember, and the reason, the reason I checked, because if you really look at it, Dule Raja, in terms of the budget and everything, it looked a little low budget compared to, because David Dhawan was big that time. And if you remember the David Dhawan movies, Bade Miyan, Chote Miyan, Hasina Maan Jayegi, I mean, they were laid on pretty big canvases.
I also loved Sajan. I mean, I could totally watch Sajan Chale Sasural today and I'll still enjoy it.
Extremely enjoyable. Sajan Chale Sasural, and again, Satish Kaushik's role as Govinda's friend.
Muttu Swami.
Yeah. In fact, It was a flop movie, but I the movie he remade from Liar Liar, Kyunki Main Jhoot Nahi Bolta. Even that was quite entertaining.
Yeah, with Sushmita.
That was
and
not
Govinda.
bad. I also liked it. In fact,
Yeah, it was quite entertaining.
Set Max loves that movie, and I really
Yeah.
I watch it like every alternate day. I think we played. Another movie I liked of Govinda, which was again not an out and out comedy, but it had comedy in the first half, was Aankhein. I really liked Aankhein.
Yeah.
Aankhein
That was again a huge hit with David Dhawan, right? Huge hit.
Yeah.
And first half was awesome. I mean, it was very, very entertaining. I still remember. I think this released in 1993.
But that movie was genuinely nice. I mean the entire thing about that surgery and
Of
Raj
course,
Kapoor
it was.
was a very good movie.
It was a remake. It was a remake of a Mahmood and Vinod Mehra movie. It's exact same story.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Man.
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
original one called?
I can tell you now, right now.
I had no idea that it was.
And I have seen that movie also. That movie was also very entertaining. It had Govinda and Vinod Mehra. It had Mahmood and Vinod Mehra.
I didn't even know Vinod Mehra and Mahmood worked together ever.
Yeah, there was a movie I've seen a comedy movie of that. I'm not sure if that was the copy movie, but I've seen a comedy movie of them. Both are best friends and
Yeah. So that I'm sure that's the one, Prince.
Both are best friends, and it's a comedy movie, completely comedy, and it's a musical comedy. There's a lot of songs in that movie.
So I mean, talking about all these new age directors like David.
Do Fool. The name of the movie was Do Fool.
Do Fool. Okay. So speaking about like all these new age directors, we have to definitely speak about
Hirani, Raju Hirani. I think Raju Hirani and Priyadarshan.
Priyadarshan
first.
Yeah,
Priyadarshan first. Yeah. Of course, all-time favorite Priyadarshan movie is Hera Pheri.
Hera Pheri. Yeah, absolutely.
That's number one on my list of comedies. I mean, Hera Pheri again is one movie, I think, again, personal opinion, that it stands the test of time. I can still enjoy. In fact,
absolutely.
my 12-year-old daughter, she has watched this movie so many times that she knows the dialogue, and it has possibly created one of the most lovable comic characters of Baburao Ganpatrao Apte.
I mean, it totally transformed Akshay Kumar's and his career. Sunil Shetty, Sunil Shetty was such a non-actor at the time, and Akshay Kumar also had not done comedy. He was more like the Khiladi kind of franchise guy.
Correct.
And suddenly it totally launched him into this whole realm of comedies that he's still banking on right now.
And everybody realized that how good Akshay Kumar's comic timing is based on that movie.
Yeah.
And although the movie did not do that well in the box office, so it was not a very big hit. So
it was not a big success, but again, amazing movie.
So
I think before we move on to like 90s, correct? I think one of the big movie that I think we all have missed by Kundan Shah, Jaane Bhi Do Yaaron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
It's a 1983 movie. I think it's a cult kind of, even if you watch now, I think it would be
hilarious
fun to watch.
Yeah.
Agreed. Amazing.
And the pathos element in the movie, there is a sadness in the movie in the background, meaning
black comedy.
Black comedy. I really like that concept.
And remember, at the end, I mean, the end is also pretty sad.
And that end, that end on the stage, it's hilarious, it's funny, and it's bizarre. I've never seen something like that.
And interesting trivia. You know how that movie was made? I mean, they did not have funds. People actually contributed out of their pocket, and there are a lot of big directors who have contributed to that movie, played small roles. Vidhu Vinod Chopra, Sudhir Mishra, all these guys helped Kundan Shah, and they barely had any money. This movie was done by, I think, NDFC. They produced the movie, but it was done on a shoestring budget. But it's, pure genius, the way the movie was directed and the performances, right? Each and every performance is memorable. Om Puri, Satish Shah, of course, Nasruddin Shah, Vaswan.
Ahead of its time, I would say.
Neena
Definitely
Gupta,
ahead of its time.
Neena Gupta, Satish Kaushik.
I remember that scene of Neena Gupta in the elevator when the light goes off and it's like, ye kya button? Ye nahi ye button.
Bhakti Bharve had a great role. So Bhakti Bharve was she was Shafi Namdar's wife.
And she was a stalwart in theater actually.
In Marathi theater, yeah.
Yeah.
And they quickly changed from ridiculous to making sense very quick. Like, thoda pheko, thoda khao.
इससे मजा ज्यादा आएगा, थोड़ा
मजा आया?
थोड़ा
मजा
सा और फेंको. And he's like outside, Vaswani is like woo, 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 woo.
And of course, you cannot forget Pankaj Kapoor. What
Oh,
a role.
yeah.
What a villain. He was the only dark character, but he was not intentionally funny, right? So he played a dark character in the movie, yet he was funny in his own way.
Yeah. And Satish Shah also was very good in that.
Very good.
Satish Shah.
Yep.
And I can't imagine that Kundan Shah made Jaane Bhi Do Yaro and then he made Kya Kehna.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
I have a no, but he also made Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na, which is one of my favorite movies. So,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, absolutely. I think
have
it's
a
one of my
suggestion.
favorite Shah Rukh Khan movies actually. Kabhi Ha Kabhi Na.
I
But
have
he
a
also made Phir Bhi Dil Hindustani.
That's sad
No.
actually.
Oh no, but Phir Bhi Dil was Aziz Mirza. It was not Kundan Shah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was Aziz. Yeah.
So I have a suggestion. Instead of going through director, let's go through decades. It'll be
Eras?
easier
Okay,
to cover.
Let's do that. Yeah.
So I have an 80s movie then, Chameli Ki Shadi, one of my favorite. Again,
Anil
favorite
Kapoor,
movies. Anil Kapoor, Chameli Ki Shadi.
And
Amrita
I think
Singh,
that was Basu Chatterjee or that's what Rishikesh Mukherjee?
that was Basu Chatterjee, I think.
Yeah.
So it was Amrita Singh, Pankaj Kapoor. Again, great ensemble cast. Anu Kapoor, Amrita Singh.
My favorite was Amjad
excellent.
Khan. Amjad Khan was
Amjad Khan.
Amjad
Yeah.
Khan, lawyer, exactly.
He
Basu
never
Chatterjee.
played that kind of a role actually. Like it was like so nice, refreshing to see him playing a good guy.
And Anu Kapoor, Chagammi.
Chaganni.
Anu Kapoor was his
Drunk Mama.
brother-in-law. Pankaj
Drunk
Kapoor's
Mama.
brother-in-law.
Yeah.
No, amazing. Chameli Ki Shadi. And Amrita Singh, I mean, she nailed that role. Man. She was amazing in that movie. And of course, 80s, I mean, another movie again, 1983, Namak Halal.
Yeah, amazing.
Classic comedies.
Amazing.
Amitabh Bachchan, I mean, did a fabulous job. And again, I think that can also be categorized as almost an out-and-out comedy. I mean, of course, there are other elements, but I would say 50-60% of the movie was comedy.
And
Was
throughout the movie, there was comic elements. Throughout the
Was
movie, there
that
were comic
Manmohan Desai or who was that?
Prakash Mehra.
elements.
Prakash Mehra. Okay, yeah. Because it was a masala movie, total masala movie.
And Amitabh Bachchan was of course, the king then, right? I mean, most of his movies had comic elements. Right? Be it this movie, Lavares, most of those movies, Naseeb, had great comic touches to those.
Sharabi also to an extent.
Yeah.
Another movie I like is, I think I mentioned it, but I think we skipped it. But Naram Garam, I really like that movie. Naram Garam was again in the 80s. Shatrughan Sinha, Utpal Dutt, Amol Palekar. Awesome. Again, awesome.
I don't think
movie.
I've seen that movie actually. I need to.
It's
check it
it's in YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube. You can watch it.
out.
Yeah, Utpal Dutt was also there, right? Utpal Dutt and Shatrughan Sinha were brothers.
They were all vying for the same girl.
Swaroop
All three
Sampath.
brothers.
Swaroop Sampath was the actress. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow, I need to watch that one then. Naram Garam.
Really hilarious. Then there was another movie. I forgot the name. I think it's so. The concept of the movie was Zinat Aman was the character and Utpal Dutt was the mama, and he's looking for the perfect groom.
Perfect.
And there is
I know.
Anil Kapoor.
Yeah. I remember.
There is Mithun Chakravarti in the movie, and there is
Sanjeev
Raj
Kumar.
Babbar. Sanjeev Kumar. in
Sanjeev
the
Kumar
movie.
was.
So he goes through, and that's I think Basu Chatterjee or Rishikesh, I don't know, but it's either one of them.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's a
that movie.
fantastic concept. So it's like the 1,000 times better version of What's Your Rashi. So it's not exactly like that, but so he goes through various grooms and all have very various socio-economic background. So everyone comes from a different strata.
I'll tell you the basic concept was, she's very, very affluent, but she wants to marry somebody who is not, who's poor. And what happens during all this? So Amol Palekar is one of the possible grooms, and then there's Mithun Chakravarti and there's Sanjeev Kumar.
I think I have seen this movie. What is it called again?
I don't remember the name, but I mean we can figure that out. But so interestingly here, what happens? I mean, Amol Palekar is like a radio or a TV mechanic. So she starts liking him, and then he ends up making a discovery that he becomes a millionaire. So Zinat Aman doesn't marry him. Then
eliminates him.
He likes Mithun, who grows up in one of those chawls, but then he ends up being the lost son of a multimillionaire. And then finally she marries Sanjeev Kumar, and then she realizes afterwards that Sanjeev Kumar ends up being the richest of all. He's like the biggest business tycoon of Mumbai. So it's again very, very interesting movie. Yeah. Again, this movie I don't think it did very well in the box office. That's why it's not very well known, but it was a very good movie.
Yeah. I also really, speaking of, comedies, Padosan was also something I really enjoyed a lot. Kishore Das comic timing, was amazing. Padosan.
And again, it was directed by Mahmood. Mahmood was the director, and he acted and directed it.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. But
of course, it's a classic.
Amazing music, great songs, and everything. So.
And Sunil Dutt did an awesome job. I mean, till then, Sunil Dutt also had an angry young man kind of an image. So even that movie transformed his image completely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, what other movies are we missing from the 80s?
Angur. We didn't speak about Angur.
Angur, yeah.
Angur again.
Of course, remake of Comedy of Errors, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And
again, Deven Varma, favorite. Another favorite actor.
Was amazing. Yeah.
So an interesting trivia. I think this movie was again remade from a Bengali movie. I think the Bengali movie was called Bhanti Bilash. It was made in Bengali with Uttam Kumar. Uttam Kumar and Bhanu Bandyopadhyay, they played the two characters that Sanjeev Kumar and Deven Varma played, and of course Gulzar, and again notable mention from that movie with Moushami Chatterjee. And she was another actress who had really good comic timing.
Yeah, and even Deepti Naval did very well.
Deepti Naval did very well, and that movie. Initially,
awesome.
This guy Rohit Shetty was going to remake with Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh God!
Oh no! Please don't. But
but they are remaking it now. So Ranveer Singh is going to play Sanjeev Kumar, and this guy, what's it called? Varun Sharma. Varun Sharma is going to be Deven Varma.
That sucks. No, I hope they don't do that.
My only problem with comedies now is that the adult humor and the slapstick comedy just kills a lot of the situational aspect of the movie.
No, my
loud
problem,
comedy.
My problem with Angur, I mean, if I just and problem is, this guy Shetty is not a very subtle director, right? I mean, he will possibly make it over the top, and Angur is not a movie that you can, make it completely over the top.
No, even in Angur, he will blow up a few cars for sure. There will be cars blowing up and stuff like that. It's like that's like his nature. But subtlety is like when he every time he takes a taxi and he gets down, he's like, मैं रहता नहीं हूँ यहाँ पे.
मैं इंपीरियल होटल उतर के कहीं और चला जाऊंगा.
कहीं और जाऊंगा. मैं रहता नहीं हूँ यहाँ पे. Love that.
जाओ बाबू काम करके
आओ बाबू. प्रीतम आन मिलो. And then when he's walking with, so there's this guy who's going to walk him to the bus stop, right? बोलता है संजीव कुमार said, right? मैं देखने में ऐसे लगता हूँ. Otherwise मैं छोड़ता नहीं हूँ. क्या नहीं करता हूँ? छोड़ता नहीं हूँ.
Then no, in the train toilet, he's like भाग गया.
Looking. And each time they would intermingle, right? So if the other Deven Varma met this Sanjeev Kumar, those scenes were ridiculous. When वो फांसी खरीदने, मैं रस्सी खरीदने आया हूँ.
कमाल है ये, मरते वक्त भी पैसे बचाने जा रहा है ये. It's like funny.
So I think in defense of Rohit Shetty, correct? I think he made, I think remake, or I would say inspired old movie. Yeah. So I think I forgot the original movie name. I think Ashok Kumar and Khatta Meetha or something.
Khatta Meetha is another excellent Deven Varma movie, right?
Excellent.
And Ashok Kumar, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he used that concept in one of the Golmaal.
Third Golmaal, right? The one with Mithun Chakravarti, that one.
Yes. So I think he pulled it off. I did not like it.
But I honestly, I don't mind Rohit Shetty movies. I'm okay with it. I mean, again, it's not classic, but I don't mind Rohit Shetty movies. I'm okay with it. The only one movie I didn't like was Dilwale.
The problem with replicating
It was a
Rishikesh
Farah
Mukherjee
Khan, not
No, Dilwale was Rohit Shetty.
was Rohit Shetty.
Rohit Shetty, yeah.
The problem with remaking Rishikesh Mukherjee movies is that you might replicate the humor quotient, but you cannot replicate the human quotient and the sentimental parts. So if you have to completely remake it, that human element in the movies also has to come through, not just comedy. Because he had a very good, very well laid out script.
Interesting part, right? Two of the most successful comedy directors, Rishikesh Mukherjee and David Dhawan, they interestingly started as editors. So one of the reasons why Rishikesh Mukherjee's scripts were so good because he was an editor.
Including Hirani. Hirani was a renowned editor.
Yeah.
Right.
Editor and ad filmmaker.
So 80s, did we miss any major movies from the 80s?
We may have, because I think probably we might not have watched all those movies. So there are so many good movies.
I mean, the amount of movies I watch, I'm sure I must have watched most of the movies, even some of the really bad ones.
Was Ram Lakhan in 90s or 80s?
80s, 87.
So Ram Lakhan, that's another movie I like. Again, first half comedy, not second half, but I like that movie also.
And Anupam Kher and Satish Kaushik. They were the major comedic elements.
But that one, I don't think it will stand the test of time. Like right now, if you watch Ram Lakhan, I don't know if you will enjoy it as much as you enjoyed it at the time.
No, but Mr. India for me again was great, especially the first.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. That was a great movie.
Shekhar
Kapoor, a lot of good humor, especially the whole angle with Calendar and Anil Kapoor and the store owner Harish Patel. So all those. Actually, even Mr. India, even the later scenes were comic scenes, right? With Bob Christo and Sharat Saxena, the Hanuman sequence and all those. So those were really good.
That was Sharat Kapoor, right?
Sharat Saxena.
No, the director.
Shekhar
Kapoor. Yeah.
Okay, now 90s, I think, the primary ones we covered with David Dhawan. I think we also talked about, we were about to get into, when we say 90s, Priyadarshan started making movies, right? We talked about Hera Pheri, then he made Halchal, Hangama, a bunch of H movies.
Chupke or something like that. He also made a bunch of things. He made.
There's one movie I think which no one will like, but I don't know. I find that movie moving and funny. It's a Sunil Shetty starring movie. It's called Ye Tera Ghar Ye Mera Ghar.
I really like that movie. It was funny.
I mean, that's my favorite. That's my favorite Sunil Shetty movie. Solo hero movie.
That was with Mahima, right?
Mahima Chaudhary. It had that song, right? Saraswati, Ye Tera Ghar Hai Mera Ghar.
And Paresh Rawal, again, awesome cast again.
And it was a very interesting concept again, right? That they had captured his house and they were not going out. So it was nice.
Yeah,
again, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Jaane, you were saying something?
Yeah, so another solo movie, probably I wouldn't say, but I liked it at that point in time. Double role, Sunil Shetty, Gopi Kishan.
Oh yeah, Gopi Kishan was funny.
Like it.
Mere do, it was funny. Gopi Kishan was very funny.
Was that the movie which had Hi Huku, Hi?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Shilpa Shirotkar was really funny in that movie also.
If someone asked me to watch movie of Sunil Shetty once again, probably it would be that is the only movie I can watch.
No, it's weird. Honestly, I mean, Sunil Shetty wasn't a great actor, but there are some movies of Sunil Shetty I have liked. There was a movie, again, it was a flop movie. It was called Vinashak. It's an action movie called Vinashak. Waqt Hamara was good. Again, comedy, very good. Major element was comedy, right? Anupam Kher played Akshay Kumar's father.
Again, Tiku Talsani, and very good ensemble cast.
Very good cast. And Spot Nana was the villain.
And
is that the guy with the beard?
Yeah, the bald guy.
Bald guy.
Oh, he has no
passed away recently.
Rami Reddy. His name is Rami Reddy.
Recently.
He doesn't have any expressions, right?
Yeah. Isko to spot lagana padega.
Oh my God.
Rami Reddy.
Slowly and steadily, I feel like probably I'm not keeping up with you guys. The way you guys are able to talk about that movie, correct, in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the situation. I think you must have watched it more than once for sure. Because I have watched all these movies. I don't remember everything that you guys are pointing out right now.
What was that movie, man? What was that movie? That was like not meant to be a comedy.
Which
but
one?
The dialogue.
Unintentional comedy. Mumbai Express.
No. Mumbai Express was also one, but there was this.
So I think we should give 5 minutes to movies that were unintentionally funny.
This movie where the guy says naam hai bulla lagta hu hamesha.
Of course, that's a classic movie, Gunda. It's a legendary movie. So you should see this. You should see this on YouTube. I mean, again, that is the best movie which is unintentionally funny. It has got cult status. You check out his IMDb rating of that movie.
It was just so crazy, the dialogues, man.
Yeah, so that has got a cult following. That movie.
Yeah. Blind following, exactly.
The IMDb rating.
नाम है बुल्ला लगता हूँ हमेशा
नहीं उसमें all the negative characters they talk in these verses.
I remember another 80s movie, awesome movie, comedy, Anil Kapoor, बीवी हो तो ऐसी. Really like that movie. बीवी हो तो ऐसी, मीनाक्षी शेजाद्री, Anil Kapoor, Saeed Jafri, Bindu, awesome movie. Another one. So again, not out and out comedy.
Gunda has a rating of 7.3 on IMDb.
That is so sad. But
but it has got a cult following because so you go on YouTube and look at Gunda famous scene. So all the villains they talk in verses in the whole movie.
And it's all like most of the stuff is like double meaning actually.
Double meaning.
Everything is double.
Kanti Shah. It's a movie made by Kanti Shah. Kanti Shah used to do all these movies.
Can we make some honorable mentions of funny characters in movies? Maybe the movie was not funny, but the character was.
Yeah, of course.
Krishnan Iyer, Yum Ye.
Krishnan Iyer, Yum Ye.
Agnipath.
Yeah.
Memorable acting.
No, then of course Jamai Raja, DDT and BBC. So Anupam Kher and Satish Kaushik, Deen Dayal Trivedi and Bake Bihari Chaturvedi.
Awesome movie. Awesome. I love that movie. Hema Malini directed, no?
Hema Mal. I don't think she directed it. I mean, she starred in it, of course.
I thought she directed that movie, Jamai Raja.
I doubt it.
And another, so this movie reminds me of another movie, Khel. Madhuri Dixit, Anupam Kher,
awesome movie.
Copy.
That was Rakesh Roshan
directed. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. It was a copy of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
That was directed by Rakesh Roshan, right?
Yeah.
Awesome movie.
So Rakesh Roshan only has movies like copying Hollywood or probably non-Indian movies. You take any movie of his, I think he has like copied script, copied music, copied everything. I'm saying so.
Kahuna Pyar Hai was copied.
I'm sure he must have copied. We don't know from a few other movies.
No, it was this movie Jamai Raja was directed by Konda Karammi Reddy.
Okay.
No, but Rakesh Roshan, one of my favorite movies that he's directed is Kamchor with Rakesh Roshan. That was a really good movie.
Kamchor was a great. Khel Khel Mein was his or no? It was not.
It was not directed by him. No, he acted in that, right? Khel Khel Mein.
Okay.
He was not directed by Rakesh. So Rakesh Roshan, I think in the initial movies, lately, of course, he's copied E.T. E.T. was that one, Koi Mil Gaya.
Paycheck copy kiya usne. It's really bad.
So,
I think anyway. Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Kyunki Main Jhoot Nahi Bolta was also copied from Kamchor. The entire first portion where he's moving into his wife's house and dreaming of the life.
Yeah. It was combination of Kamchor and Liar Liar. Second.
Liar.
I'll be right back.
So I don't like his piece of work. I think he copies different movies and makes one. So it's and that too he never mentions that in the credit. Correct? That's the worst part of it.
But you will be surprised, Jalin. A lot of the old people and because people did not have access to foreign stuff, and that's why we would not know. I'm sure people copied or like they like to say inspired, right?
Oh yeah. So I think all Mahesh Bhatt, all David Dhawan, all Abbas Mustan movies are like taken, like at least plot is taken from
Yeah,
South Korean probably
Abbas Mustan, I don't think I've made a single original movie yet.
I'm just saying. So like you
But
see and
but
you see
but
it's
with
not
that,
original.
with that said, Abbas Mustan, I like Abbas Mustan movies. They make interesting movies.
My criteria is if the movie is good, I don't care where you've taken it.
Right.
If I like the movie,
and
I
I'll
like
tell
the
you,
movie.
and I'll tell you, the problem is when Abbas Mustan made those movies, when they were a big name, that time we did not have access to. I mean, we had access to English movies, but we didn't have access to Korean movies, right? I mean, like
Correct.
his Race and all those are copies from Korean movies. But I mean, I really loved Race. First Race, I really loved. It was first race.
But then there's a disaster, correct? After that
Oh
race
man,
No, so
bad.
it progressively went bad, right? Race 2 was, although Race, I mean, if you look at Race 3, Race 2 will seem a classic.
It's
Because
like
Race 3
competition
was
between
unbelievable.
But Abbas Mustan have made some very good movies. Khiladi,
Yeah.
Ajnabi. I really like them.
Bazigar.
Oh, yeah. So it's
But all
movie
of
to
it is
movie
Cape Fear.
entertaining movies.
But all is copied. All
Cape
all
Fear.
these
All copy.
all are copies. I mean, Khiladi was a copy of Khel Khel Mein.
So I just want to mention one movie, correct, which I think was a flop movie. I in fact went to Metro Theater in Mumbai. Metro is like a old
I
theater.
know Metro
Yeah,
Theatre.
we-
I think Prince and I had
Andaz
watched, I think, Volcano there.
Andaz Apna Apna. Andaz Apna Rajkumar Santoshi
Oh,
movie.
Oh yeah, of course, man. I mean, we're going to talk about classics.
No. So I think I watched it in a theater. It was a big flop at that point in time, and then became a rage afterwards. Correct, on the TV when it started. Oh man.
I mean,
मैं तेजा हूँ क्योंकि मेरा नाम ही तेजा है.
मैं हूँ मार किधर
मार किधर है?
ये तेजा क्या है? ये तेजा.
No, I mean that was a work of genius, right? That scene when Shakti Kapoor has the gun and he's walking in front, and Salman Khan and Amir Khan are working behind him with their hands up.
There's this interview of Rajkumar Santoshi by what the guy?
Rajiv Masand. I've seen it.
You should all watch that interview. The way he's dissected the movie and his thinking behind it. I mean, it sounds even more intelligent when he says.
No, he's a genius. I think Rajkumar Santoshi is a very underrated director.
I even liked his movies that didn't do so well, like Family or stuff like that.
Khaki.
I even liked
My favorite.
Khaki was
exactly.
awesome.
I really loved those movies.
No, I mean, of course, Damini, Dar, Ghayal,
Damini,
Indian
Ghayal.
Rambo on the streets. No, Andaz Apna. So we have an interesting personal story. Andaz Apna Apna. So we had Prince. I don't know if you remember. You were of course very very young. Prince, you were 5-6 years old. Yeah. So we had actually an invitation to somebody's house. Do you remember Raju uncle Prince?
Yeah, I do.
So we had an invitation at his house, and this uncle he had taken cooking classes, and he invited our families and a couple of other families for dinner, and we were watching this movie on cable in his house, and I'll just keep this short. So he was making stuff, and we were sitting there for 3 hours, and the food was not coming out. Then we realized that he didn't have enough food for us, and there was a whole huge hustle. But that's my memory, and it was an unbelievable movie, right? I mean, scene after scene, and it had these interesting cameos by these old time comic actors, right? There was Mahmood, Jagdeep, Devin Verma. They had excellent. And Mahmood, you talk English, walk English, laugh English. Finish.
नहीं, मैं आपको भी स्टार बनाऊंगा.
आपको भी हीरो बनाऊंगा अंकल.
कभी भीड़ में खड़े यूं दिखाई देते हैं.
And the phone call with Subhash guy. Subbu.
माधुरी चलेगी.
माधुरी से बात होगी. अच्छा, जूही भी इंटरेस्टेड है. अच्छा. बोलता है पिक्चर में अमिताभ भी है, लेकिन
all time classic, I would say.
Amitabh.
It's on my binge list always.
I watch it at least.
I'm feeling down. I'll watch Andaz Apna Apna.
I watch it twice a year at least, minimum.
Yeah, I watch it more than that.
I don't even want to admit how many times I've watched it, or I watch.
You cannot watch this movie with Prince and me in the room, because we'll be mouthing the dialogues along with the movie.
There was this guy. His name was Tawfiq at University of Miami, And
Yeah, of course.
he was you know him, you have met him,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Tohit, sorry.
Tohid.
Yeah. So he used to be a crazy fan of this. He always has like his DVD player only had this DVD always. He used to just play it anytime. And then the thing is, there was this girl that he liked called Tatiana, and I ended up, starting like a co-study kind of a thing with her, like where we used to meet and start. So he came to me and he's like, क्या है ये तातियाना के साथ क्या चल रहा है, क्या कर रहा है? I was like, कुछ नहीं यार, पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं साथ में. करो करो लेकिन दूर दूर से
अंदाज अपना अपना.
एंड सोमू, तू हमको अपना प्रोफाइल क्यों दिखा रहा है?
हाँ मतलब ये क्या साइड ऑन एकदम एंगल.
तो साइड ऑन कैमरा ऑन कर दिया.
एक्चुअली मेरा यहाँ पे मॉनिटर है बड़ा वाला.
अच्छा.
और यहाँ पे कंप्यूटर का वेबकैम है, तो इसलिए ऐसा है.
Got it.
अच्छा, I have a hard stop at 10:30, so I will leave at 10:30.
Okay.
I mean 10:30 are Utah time. मतलब.
I think we should be able to wrap it up.
हाँ ठीक
है.
है.
Andaz Apna Apna, of course, another huge favorite of most people, right? And became a cult much after its time.
If I'm held to gunpoint, I'll probably name Andaz Apna Apna in my top 3.
Yeah.
For watchability. Just
gunpoint
watchability.
or not, it'll be in my top 3. And I take personal offense if I meet somebody and says Andaz Apna Apna they didn't like. I end up not liking those people.
No, I mean,
Just
Andaz Apna Apna is
to convince
like
them.
just the repeat.
Just saying.
The repeat value of that.
I lose respect for people who say Andaz Apna Apna. So there are a few films which people say they don't like, and I try to convert them. One is, of course, Andaz Apna Apna. The other one is, Scarface, Godfather. Some of these movies, Sholay. If somebody tells me they don't like those movies.
Godfather, which one though? Godfather, like
I like 1 and 2, of course.
Third one was
not as good.
boring, actually.
3 was not as good. Although, still, even I would say Godfather 3 is also better than a lot of other movies.
So the trick is to watch it back to back. That's the only way you like the movie. The third movie. If you watch it in
Godfather 1 stands by its own, man. It's
also the second one also, I love it, actually.
Yeah.
Second one.
So some of these movies, when people tell me they don't like it, I definitely try to convert them. Sholay. If somebody tells me Sholay they don't like, I take personal offense as if I have made the movie.
Hum Saath Saath hai, another movie. I convince people how good it is. And if
Hum
you watch
Saath
it
Saath
with
was, of course, Prince's favorite.
Well, really?
If I watch it with you, I can guarantee I can make it entertaining for you. Hum Saath Saath.
Well, I'll have to watch it with you then.
With commentary.
Yes, absolutely. With commentary and with moments you missed. Trust me, you're watching it, but you're missing moments.
That's the movie when they shot the deer, right?
Yeah.
Black buck.
No,
Black buck, yeah.
And since we mentioned Hum Saath Saath Hai, so I think we have kind of veered into this unintentional comedy topic. You remember the song, right? Baat Sach Hai To Bhagwan Hai. That song, when Manish Bail is singing, the 3 ladies, the way they are doing the dance move, yeah, they move like this and they do a tap like that. It's so funny.
मुझे नहीं पसंद वो, but have you
but the semicircular hug. So Salman Khan enters the house after doing his MBA from America, and he has a fake accent. And
and the way they hug
he
each
does
other.
half circle rotation hugs with all the 3 brothers. Bhaiya, and they go rotate half a circle. Then he meets the other one, he goes another half circle. Then he meets another one, then he goes another half circle. They're fun movie.
Have any of you watched the movie Tere Bin Laden?
I have. The first one was really good. I like the first one.
I only watched the first one.
Piyush Mishra was amazing in that.
Oh yeah. No, it was good. The first one was a really good movie. The second one was boring. The one with Manish Paul.
So now we are entering into a territory, correct? New kind of territory. So I think Delhi Belly is one of those, I think, where I think I enjoyed it. Probably
I like Delhi Belly, but somehow, toilet humor is something I don't enjoy. So there was a lot of toilet humor there, right? So that is something I don't enjoy. Again, I might be contradicting myself, although I like Pushpak. Pushpak also had toilet humor, but somehow Delhi Belly I liked, but again, Delhi Belly, if I had to name my, say, even 20 favorite comedy movies, I don't think Delhi Belly will feature there.
See,
Ma-
the thing is, what happens, correct, when you watch a movie in a theater, it is a different experience, correct? You might not have watched it in a theater, okay?
No, I have
So,
not. I have
yeah,
not.
so I watch
I
all
have.
my movies in theater. It doesn't matter, whether it's a
That's so
comedy.
cool.
So in theater, it changes everything, correct? For you, it is more fun. Yeah,
To an extent, yes, I agree.
yeah.
But I have watched Delhi Belly. It released on my birthday, 2011. So my problem with the movie was the main actor. Sorry, if you would have chosen a better actor, it would have been a better movie. So I don't rate Imran Khan at all. I mean, he is bad.
Although
Okay,
his in his first movie, it seemed that he's a natural actor, but then you realize that is the only way he can act.
that's the only way he can act. Yeah, that's true.
Correct.
And I think it was a bit too abusive. I don't have a problem with abuses, but there was this cool element of abuse. I mean, they're just abusing for no reason, no
Like,
rhyme and reason.
for example, the abuse part worked really well in Gangs of Wasepur, right? Gangs of
Wasapur,
Wasepur, I
yes.
think it kind of really gelled well with the milieu it was in. But here,
Because of the city, because of the location, right? Because that's the language they speak in.
But that's
Delhi Belly,
what Anurag Kashyap does best, a lot of abuse and a lot of gali galoch in his movies. So,
since we have reached the early 2000s, I also love Welcome.
oh, I really
Great
love
movie.
Welcome.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
First
love
movie.
I love
He is-
no,
Welcome.
I like Welcome. I like No Entry. No
But
Entry.
no entry is my one of the all-time favorite.
Love it.
Like I can
I
watch
like-
anytime.
Anil Kapoor, amazing in No Entry. No, actually, the person who really surprised me, because till then I thought she just could not act to save her life. Lara Datta. Lara Datta did very well in that.
Oh yeah, she's a good actress actually. Underrated. Yeah, she's a good actress.
After that, I realized that she could act,
In
because
Welcome,
till then I Welcome, even Malika Sherawat acted well in Welcome.
Nana
That was the first-
Patekar,
Welcome,
man.
my
Nana,
favorite is
Nana.
Majnu Bhai.
Patekar and Anil Kapoor.
Majnu Bhai.
Nana Patekar and Anil
My
Kapoor.
favorite in Welcome was Nana Patekar.
The Nana Patekar and both the Jodi, the Nana Patekar and Majnu Bhai.
The
Yeah.
best dialogue is अभी तो चीता भी बुला रही है उसे. Oh man, I can.
आजकल तो
that
control,
whole
Uday.
जलने की बुआ रही है क्या?
Control, Uday, control.
control.
अरे आप उदय शेट्टी जी, आप मुझे जी बुला रहे? अरे आजकल तो बिस्किट को भी पार्ले जी बुलाना पड़ता है. आप क्या है? It's like,
ले लो कांदा
आलू ले लो.
आज बिका नहीं है आलू और बिका नहीं है कांदा, ऐसे कुछ है ना?
वो बोलता है ना कि
अक्षय कुमार
न
is also
बिका है
brilliant
आज
in this
सुबह से
movie.
कोई आलू, न बिका है कांदा. नहीं बोलता, नहीं आधा आधा, हाँ आधा. But Akshay Kumar again shines in comic timing, man.
No, so another notable mention of Akshay Kumar comedy, which I mean, the script had nothing in it, but purely because of Akshay Kumar, that movie did well. The one with John Abraham and Akshay Kumar in that house.
Oh, awesome. Garam Masala.
Garam Masala. Loved it. And that movie, Akshay Kumar clearly proved that, by his comic timing, he can, because it had no script, right? Nothing was happening in the one girl was coming,
that was
one girl was going.
Priyadarshan only, right?
Priyadarshan, yes.
He just, I mean, the entire burden of the movie, and that also showed how bad John Abraham was. I mean, in a scene where Akshay Kumar is just taking it away, John Abraham is just pulling him down. Ki, nahi, itne अच्छा मत करो comedy. मैं थोड़ा गंदा acting करता हूँ.
And the funniest part was where Akshay Kumar would explain to the girls, right? How he would confuse them. I mean, that was amazing. And Paresh Rawal, of course, as their help.
ये मेरे पूजा चाचा हैं. पुजारी चाचा.
No. Akshay Kumar was unbelievable in that movie.
Yeah.
Was really good.
Convinces people, and then he's himself not convinced, and he's like, समझ में आया ना convince.
आया ना समझ में? ठीक है. Okay.
No, and so another Akshay Kumar, Sunil Shetty movie I really liked, and I'm trying to remember the name. So this was the movie which again was like that ensemble cast. Johnny, they go in a hotel and then end में वो पानी पिलाता है hotel में.
Happy.
अरे जिसमें वो था, मैं बारिश कर दूं पैसों
की. That one. Again, I found that movie hugely entertaining because it had amazing actors.
Priyadarshan movie, correct?
Priyadarshan movie. Yeah.
Happy something, na? Happy.
क्यों पैसा
No, not happy. Not happy.
It was an English name, right? English name, I think. It was an English name movie.
So Priyadarshan का तो
Katrina Kaif, Samira
Let me look
Reddy,
it up.
Sunil
Samira
Shetty,
Reddy,
Akshay
Sunil
Kumar,
Shetty. I mean, huge ensemble. Asrani, Johnny
Asrani,
Lever,
Paresh Rawal.
Paresh Rawal.
Dedanathan. Dedanathan.
Dedanathan.
Dedanathan. Yes.
Ah.
Yes.
Loved it. I love that. Very entertaining. Very
So
entertaining.
another movie of
I think
Priyadarshan,
that
correct?
was in
Probably.
Singapore. The whole movie was in
Yeah,
Singapore.
not a hit movie. It's a black comedy,
No,
Malamal
no.
Weekly.
Oh, I love it. I love Malamal Weekly.
Liked it. Love it.
So I
it was
think
Again,
amazing.
बोलो धक्का किसने मारा? पहले बोलो धक्का किसने मारा?
I love the part where Om Puri's feet get stuck in that pot. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
walking with it everywhere.
I think Ritesh Deshmukh needs a honorable mention. He's class in comedy.
He's very good in comedy. Very good.
Hey Baby, another one. Hey Baby. Really like that movie.
No, and no, actually, I like that movie also. I mean, Ritesh Deshmukh acted well in that. The Dil Mein Baji Guitar. Which movie is that?
Oh
Where he played the lady. He dressed up.
Houseful.
Good movie.
Houseful.
नहीं
No,
हाउसफुल
no,
नहीं
no.
यार.
अरे वो मराठी actor
देखा
के
तो
साथ
तुझे यार दिल में तलपड़े श्रेयस तलपड़े.
तलपड़े and
This guy
Okay.
Chunky Pandey, Anupam Kher,
Anupam
Chunky
Kher.
Pandey.
Yeah, so Madhuri Dixit, like, okay, I know which movie you're talking about. I forgot.
good movie.
In this
Yeah,
last
yeah.
Houseful movie, he's like, क्या छुपाया है तह खाने में, तह खाने में.
हाँ.
It was bad
So
actually, but yeah, it was okay.
Correct.
But I somehow again the Houseful movies, I'm good with the Houseful movies. They're time pass. I'm okay. I mean I wouldn't
टक
criticize.
लिया, तेरा बाप टक लिया.
So one more movie. It's an off-beat movie, Rajat Kapoor movie. I watched it in theater.
Oh,
First
I'll tell you, First Guy Obama. First Guy Obama. Oh, love that movie.
Lovely.
Okay, another top three of my favorite movie, Khosla Ka Khosla.
Oh, yeah, that's
Khosla Ka Khosla. I love it.
I love it too.
Epic.
Let's cover both the movies you talked about, right? Khosla Ka Khosla and First Guy Obama. I mean, Sanjay Mishra, awesome. Then the guy who stays around with Rajat Kapoor, right? The guy with the mustache.
Manu Sharma.
You remember the scene where he goes to the English speaking class and the teacher comes and talks in English. If you don't remember that scene, you should see that on YouTube.
It is amazing.
So this is one movie I've not watched. I've not seen.
Oh, it's
a classic. It's amazing. And Neha Dhupia is also so good. Amol Gupte.
Yeah.
Amol Gupte is like the one who was originally directing Tare Zameen Ke, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And he
directed Stanley Ka Dabba, which is a really good.
Which is an amazing movie, but
So First Guy Obama, I actually watched it around 6 months during the lockdown. I watched it one more time. I love that movie. Again, great ensemble cast, right? And very good plot.
I love when they say all, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. And बेचारा गरीब गैंगस्टर होता है संजय मिश्रा, बोले यार मटन बना दो, आज मटन बना प्लीज.
सिम कार्ड नहीं होता है उसके पास, गोलियां नहीं होती है, कुछ नहीं होता है. But Sanjay Mishra, I mean, obviously that's for another time.
Awesome.
Aankho Dekhi
is one of my favorite movies, and what an emotional movie. Directed by Rajat Kapoor again. Okay, so let's cover Khosla Ka Khosla. Again, one of my favorite movies.
Favorite. Again, that's at par with Rishikesh Mukherjee kind of storytelling.
Yeah,
fantastic movie.
I really love this director. Dibakar. I think he's a very good director.
Dibakar is amazing. Yeah.
Like,
so,
क्या तुझे शर्म आ रही है?
Character in that movie was Bunty, Ranveer Shori. I love this character, man. He was awesome. He was like a sleazeball.
Chiranji Lal,
Cherry.
बाप के साथ शराब पीने में शर्म आ रही है तुझे अभी?
Anupam Kher was awesome in that movie because he was the only person who you felt bad for, right?
Yeah, he was emotional.
Hold the drink. Oh,
No, then even that guy, man, Naveen Nishchal was awesome.
Oh yeah. He's like the theater guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think before Prince,
Bowman Irani was also amazing. Bowman Irani was crazy. In that.
So Beja Fry, I think the first part was amazing.
Very good.
Awesome.
That was, of course,
first part.
That's one man show, but that's one man show. I mean, that guy Pathak, awesome. Vinay Pathak,
right? And
Vinay Pathak.
And I think
And I think that group, right? Rajat Kapoor, Vinay Pathak, and these three, when they
Ranveer
come
Shori.
together,
Ranveer
they
Ranveer
are,
Shori.
Shori,
Ranveer Shori, they are just electric.
And again,
Another movie.
this was a remake. This was a remake of a Russian movie.
Oh, is it?
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a very awesome movie.
No, even
And-
they made it in Hollywood again.
But they made it later. Bheja Fry was earlier, and then they made it with Steve Carell. They made it
Dinner for Schmucks or something.
Dinner for Schmucks. Yeah.
But it was not that great. Bheja Fry was
wasn't.
far better. Far better.
Yeah, no, Beja Fry was great. Tom Alter was so amazing in that. I saw Tom Alter's son actually in one of the series online.
Yeah. He's very good. I mean, he's a cricket buff son, Jamie Alter.
Yeah, but his Hindi is amazing, man.
There's one other movie before I leave. I just want to say this movie so that you guys can watch it if you've not watched it. The name of the movie is Aloo Chaat. It has Sanjay
I've seen it.
Mishra.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Aftab Shivdasani, Amna Shivdasani.
I think
Amna
even
Sharif.
Kulbhushan Karbanda is in it, right?
Yeah, it's a very good movie.
So I'll tell you another movie like that. Similar genre was Love Shav and Chicken Khurana. Very good movie. You
Oh
should
yeah, very good.
Love Shav the Chicken Khurana.
That's probably the only Kunal Kapoor movie I have liked actually.
Oh, you didn't like Rang De Vasanti?
Yeah, that was not a Kunal Kapoor movie. That was a
I mean,
solo movie.
you-
Solo movie.
solo
Talking about
movie.
solo
this,
movie.
this was like, he was the only
I think
guy.
he's done. That's the only
I don't-
solo movie he's done. I think.
No, I think he's done another one. Meenakshi something.
Yeah. with
Meenakshi, the
Mother
Tale of
Teresa.
Two
Tale
Cities.
of Three
No,
Cities.
so before
That
Prince,
was-
you leave,
That's
let's
the
talk
movie
about
by
another
Amit
cult
Murthy.
movie. Before you leave, Three Idiots. Let's spend a few minutes with Three Idiots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't name that because I find it as so that's like the best movie ever.
No,
It's
the
not a
Three
comedy
Idiots,
movie for me.
I will name it as my best comedy movie. I'll name it under my best, emotional movie. I'll name it under my favorite movie. So
Best movie.
makes,
Best, exactly.
yeah, it makes all the categories. But
I
again,
think- I
Three Idiots'
think that-
humor was
We
amazing.
missed Munna Bhai. We missed Munna Bhai.
Munna Bhai,
We
yeah.
missed Munna Bhai.
Even Dil Dhadakne Do, I think. I don't know whether you
Oh,
call it as a
awesome.
comedy movie, Dil Dhadakne Do.
Dil Dhadakne Do was very good. Although again,
I
Dil
don't know
Dhadakne
if
Do,
it was
I find it
comedy.
hard to put it under the comedy genre though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there are funny elements, but yeah,
It's a quirky movie.
I would say Dil Chahta Hai and this Dil Dhadakne Do kind of belong to the same genre for me.
Yeah.
Similar kind of movies.
But yeah, Munna Bhai, I mean,
So
seriously,
Three
it
Idiots
like
was so, I mean, I think everybody could identify with that movie. I think if there is, after Sholay, if there is one universal favorite, I think it's got to be Three Idiots, right?
I think Abhishek also, the point is that, people who have gone through engineering school in India, there is like a
All of us.
special connection that,
Which is like 70% of us, right?
right. No, like
90%
right
probably.
now it is 100% probably. I mean,
I mean, on this screen, yes, but I mean, on this podcast,
Yeah.
but I think generally 70% of the country, I would say.
yeah. So,
And,
I mean,
and the
I
people
think,
who have lived hostel life actually. So hostel
Yeah,
life
yeah.
is more important. So I've lived hostel life, and you can really connect to it. A lot of things.
yeah, I can only imagine how much you can connect that.
But, Raju Hirani is a genius. I mean, I have to give him that. He is one of,
Yeah,
I mean, he's my one of all-time favorite directors.
Yeah.
The movie of him that I liked the least was the second Munna Bhai movie. I mean, I still like it, but I mean, because you are comparing against Munna Bhai 1, Three Idiots, then which was the other one? Sanju. So I like this one the least, Munna Bhai second one.
I think entertainment questions.
I like
Yeah.
Sanju the least actually.
Same.
I
like Sanju.
I somehow
Because-
I thought the second movie Munna Bhai was a little preachy to me. It became preachy. Like the first one was done, very casually without being preachy. The second one I thought again, it's a personal opinion. It got a little preachy for me.
I thought in the second one, Bhuvan
Gandhi.
Irani overacted actually. He was overacting.
Yeah, and he didn't do a good
And it
job
was a
with Sardar.
miscast.
Right.
It was a wrong casting for Punjabi role.
But it was weird though, because see, this is what in Khosla Ka Ghosla he played a Punjabi, but he did really well.
Haryanvi. He played a Haryanvi.
No, Punjabi. Khosla Saab. Khosla is Punjabi. He was Khosla Saab.
Oh, right. Okay.
No, Khosla
think-
is
Khosla
Anupam
was
Kher.
No, but he
Haryanvi.
no, not Haryanvi. He was Punjabi. 200%.
His name is something else though. Last name.
His name is something else, but he played Punjabi. So that is what I'm saying. He played Punjabi there, but
Chhabra. He was Chhabra, I think.
Whatever. He was a Punjabi surname, but he did really well there. He played a Punjabi guy, but here he
Playing a
did.
Punjabi and playing a Sikh is different. You can play Punjabi little subtly. Sikh, it's more.
No,
I mean,
no,
you
no,
need more
as
authenticity.
a Sikh, he could have kept that same accent, but somehow his accent also didn't seem right in
A
that.
caricature. Yeah,
Right.
it was very caricaturish.
Right.
And plus, what he did for Kosla Ka Kosla Bahut, he played a Delhiite or a Gurgaon person.
Right.
He didn't play a
He played
Punjab.
Delhi Punjabi. Delhi Punjabi. Right.
Exactly. So that was different. But my problem with Sanju was I think Sanju was a good movie, but it was all Ranbir Kapoor for me. It was nothing about Hirani. So Hirani's expertise didn't come to the fray. I think it was all Ranbir.
No, so, but I mean, again, the director, for me, if the movie is well made, which I thought the movie was well made, so I mean, the director doesn't have to do anything to showcase, right? If he's made a good movie, it is a good movie. I mean,
So
he's done a good job.
I have a point here, correct? I think I decided not to watch Sanju even before it released because I did not like a movie
Yeah,
on a negative character, correct? I mean to say real life. But then I watched it and I loved it, correct? So I'll tell you where the Hirani element came in, correct? Everyone knew the story at very broad level, correct? But the way he kept that element not to audience until last moment, correct? The point where I think his friend was why he was against Sanju, and then I think they meet like the kind of the scene outside of the jail, correct? I think he kept it at the end, correct? And that was the whole premise the movie was moving around. Obviously the son, like Ranbir Kapoor, was great, and story was that and that, but that is the Hirani element is what I would say. So he keeps his audience guessing until the last moment and then delivers it. That's.
And I'll tell you where his genius was, because I can almost bet if any other director would have done it, they would have made Ranbir Kapoor act like Sanjay Dutt even more. Here, he captured the mannerisms, but his dialogue delivery was not like Sanjay Dutt. That is where I think Rajkumar Hirani's genius was. That because otherwise it would have become very, very caricaturish. For example, I mean, Varun Dhawan is really good, right? But if you look at Puli number 1, David Dhawan made him act like Govinda exactly. Like that voice Govinda used to do, right? Oh, that he made him act like that. And he made him do the same kind of mimicry that Govinda did in Puli number 1.
Man, it was a torture. It was a torture to hear him talk in Mithun Chakravarti's voice.
Oh,
it was
man,
it was like literally torture.
And,
it was torture.
And just to see the contrast, try watching Rajkumar Rao play Mithun in that movie.
Ludo. Yeah, exactly.
Ludo. You will
Amazing.
know how you can play the same thing but a different perspective, and it becomes funny.
Guys,
it's just a different class of actors.
So since you talked about Rajkumar Rao, another movie I want to mention is Bareli Ki Barfi. Love that movie. Man.
And Newton also. Newton still classifies
but
as
not a comedy.
Newton was a satirical comedy, right? But this one, Bareli Ki Barfi, especially Rajkumar Rao's role, right? Amazing.
Yeah. No, even Newton, man. And I mean, my all-time favorite actor right now in current actors is Pankaj. You know already. Yeah. I told you already. My favorite actor is Pankaj Tripathi. And in Newton,
I don't even know who my favorite actor is. There's so many good actors at this point that I don't even know who my favorite actor is.
No, Pankaj
Rajkumar Rao,
Tripathi. Pankaj Tripathi is definitely my favorite actor right now, and
I actually like Pankaj Tripathi even more than Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think his comic element, he's more subtle.
He's very subtle.
I don't know if you guys have seen Criminal Justice 2. Have you guys seen it?
I saw it.
No.
Yeah.
You guys watched it. Amazing. And his role is too good, man.
And even in the first
I think he's
part,
more versatile than Nawazuddin. He's more versatile than Nawazuddin.
Yes.
Even in the Criminal Justice, the first part, he's like, "Ki kya problem hai?" He's like at the psychiatrist. नहीं ऐसा ही टाइम पास करने आ गया हूँ नहीं है. It's like, it's just like.
So if you guys haven't watched one movie of Pankaj Tripathi, you should watch it. It's a movie called Gurgaon.
I have watched. It's a good movie.
Amazing, and you should see his power. He's played a gangster in that movie, but the role he's played there, you should hear him. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to drop.
Okay, Prince.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Take care, man.
Yeah.
Like no, so every time we leave a stream, you should be like how our ex US president was, right? In his last tweet, where he tweeted the Marauders, and he ended his tweet by saying "Love you all." So that's how you should say goodbye to the tweet.
Yes, I hate you, and I want you dead, but I love you also. Bye.
Bye, Prince.
Bye, Avik.
Bye.
So I think I think
What have we missed?
Yeah, so Ayushman Khurrana movies. I think there are like many comic movies that he did.
Vicky Donor was awesome. I love
Vicky
Vicky
Donor.
Anu
The
Kapoor.
one where I think he like
Dream Girl.
no,
I didn't like Dream Girl. That is one Ayushman Khurrana.
No, Dream Girl. The one movie where I think
Where he loses his hair. That one was really good.
No.
Bala.
Bala.
No, not Bala. Oh man, why I'm forgetting it.
Tell me the theme and I'll tell you the name.
उसकी मम्मी प्रेग्नेंट हो जाती है यार.
Of course. बधाई हो बधाई.
Badai ho, yeah, that's a class movie, I think. Yeah,
I loved it. Again, another of my Gajraj Rao. Really loved it.
Yeah, correct.
So while we are on that topic, another latest movie is Loot Case. I really like that movie. Have you seen it?
Loot Case was
Watched it. Yeah.
Loved it. Kunal Khemu was awesome in that, and Gajraj Rao.
Underrated actor Kunal Khemu. I think he acted really
I love it. I mean, he was a child actor, right? He's always been really good. I mean, you see his movie as a child. See Zakham, see Raja Hindustani, Hame Rahi Pyar Ke, and then of course he's a very good actor. Again, you're right, underrated. Actually, another modern type comedy I like is Go Goa Gone.
I haven't watched that movie and I wanted to watch.
You watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. I love that movie, man. Again, Kunal Khemu, Veer Das, Tiwari, Anand Tiwari, and Saif Ali Khan plays a Nakli Russian. You should watch it.
Yeah.
They are making a sequel now. It's a zombie comedy. It's a zombie comedy.
Veer Das is doing pretty well for himself, man, right now. He's coming up back-to-back Netflix specials right now.
Right. He did a US tour also, right? Last couple of years.
Yeah, like
I'm not a fan of his stand-up. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his stand-up.
I am neither, but he is doing really good for himself for some reason. Even Jerry Seinfeld and all these guys are talking about him.
Yeah.
They are saying good stuff about him. So
that's, we'll definitely do another video blog on stand-up comedy, because I watch, I don't know if you guys, but I watch a tremendous amount of stand-up comedy, Indian as well as worldwide.
Me too. I mainly watch Dave Chappelle and these kinds of people.
But I watched, of course, I watched all these classic guys, Dave Chappelle, the old ones, Seinfeld, then I'm forgetting the name, man.
Canadian.
Russell Peters and all that, of course, I watched. Then Robin Williams, all the classic guys. But I mean, I watched a whole lot of stand-up comedy, even the recent ones. Who's that guy, man? I'm really getting old. Started to forget names. So we'll do one session on stand-up comedy. But any other classic comedy movies that we have missed?
Classic comedy. So I think I don't know whether we qualify that as a comedy movie or a classic comedy or not, but I think Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar, I think that's also one of my favorite movie. Maybe it's not a out and out comedy.
I don't think we can call that a comedy, right?
Yeah, that's not a comedy, but I would definitely there is wait, let's see what comes to my mind.
The Priyadarsan movies in the middle I used to quite enjoy. Even Hangama, Halchal. I mean, they were decent movies.
Yeah.
The only problem I had with the Priyadarsan movies was the end. The end. His end used to be strange, right?
Electric shock lag raha hai. Basically, a whole bunch of people running around.
Running around, और 20 लोगों को electric shock लग रहा है, एक के बाद एक chain बन रहा है. Those ends were a little.
And that was pretty much consistent through a lot of his movies. ऐसा ही होता था. But I'll just say that.
Yeah, I think we have covered most of the cult comedy movies. I mean, they have given us a lot of joy over the years, right? And The good thing about comedy movies is, you can, unlike most intense
one.
movies-
I have one.
Which one?
चाची 420.
Yeah. I love it. चाची
उसमें
420.
I like that South Indian actor जो होता है ना, जो
जो
he
कुक
is
बनता
like,
है ना, जो कुक बनता है,
हाँ, जो मुस्लिम होता है, but he is
कुक
pretending
बनता
to be a Hindu,
है,
and
हिंदू।
he goes like Baba Boo, Baba Boo.
नहीं, इसमें I mean everybody, this guy, ओमपुरी,
हाँ,
नेदरलैंड,
उसका नाड़ा खुला होता है.
Amrish Puri, of course, was great. I know it's a great. No, but let's spend 5 minutes on unintentional comedies where the movie was so bad that it was funny. I mean, so Gunda would come under that category. Then, Somu, your favorite movie, मान गए मुगले आजम.
तुझे याद है अभी भी?
हाँ, तो तू 100 बार देखेगा तो मुझे याद होगा ही ना.
But
उसमें
वो
भी
तो
वो
कॉमेडी था ना, अनइंटेंशनल थोड़ी था. इट वाज अ कॉमेडी
नहीं, बट
मूवी
उसका
ओनली.
कॉमेडी मूवी था, बट उसका ह्यूमर एकदम अनइंटेंशनल था. मतलब
मैंने
जो
देखा नहीं है मूवी, बट आई एम
नहीं,
जस्ट
बहुत अच्छा है, देखना.
बहुत घटिया है. मतलब तू, तेरे सोमू के नाम पे तेरा विश्वास उठ जाएगा सोमू से, अगर वो पिक्चर
नहीं,
देखेगा. तू अच्छा बोल रहा है.
बहुत अच्छा लगेगा.
और मुंबई एक्सप्रेस याद है?
अरे मुंबई एक्सप्रेस भी बहुत अमेजिंग था यार.
हाँ, मुझे मालूम है. तुम लोग अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस देखते थे वो पिक्चर, तुम और मोहित मिलकर.
नहीं,
इसलिए तुमको
ये
अच्छा लगता
कितना
था.
अच्छा था मुंबई एक्सप्रेस.
क्या उसमें क्या डायलॉग था? ए बी को करेगा, बी सी को करेगा, पता नहीं क्या क्या चलता.
हाँ.
नहीं, उसका डायलॉग क्या था?
नहीं, ये पहले ए था, अभी ये सी है, अभी
है.
ये बी है, नहीं है.
नहीं, उसका एक डायलॉग था ना मुंबई एक्सप्रेस का. क्या डायलॉग था एक? उसमें कुछ तो डायलॉग था अजीब सा. तो दैट मूवी वाज
बट
पेन.
मुंबई एक्सप्रेस तो कमाल का था यार.
हाँ, मतलब अगर इफ यू आर अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस
विजय
तो
राज,
तुमको मूवी फनी लगेगा वो चीज.
विजय नहीं, अरे ऐसे नहीं है. विजय राज ने क्या किया है? यार क्रेन से बच्चे को उठा रहे हैं. व्हाट्स मोर फनी देन दैट? क्रेन से उठा रहे हैं बच्चे को.
पेनफुल मूवी था भाई.
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा था मुंबई एक्सप्रेस तो. इट वाज
सोमू, तेरा मैंने जो तेरे को इतना बिल्डअप किया, पहले तू अपना इज्जत गवा रहा है ये सब बोल के.
नहीं, मुंबई एक्सप्रेस, नो, ज्वलिन.
Another movie which is kind of comedy was Jhankar Beats. I like Jhankar Beats was good.
हाँ, वो ठीक था. मतलब मुंबई एक्सप्रेस नाम भी मैंने नहीं सुना है. आई डोंट नो, आई हैव टू गूगल इट.
मत कर, तू पछताएगा एक बार.
नाम नहीं सुनो, देखो, बहुत मजा आ जाएगा. कमला हसन, मैन, अमेजिंग.
कमल हसन ऐसा पिक्चर कर सकता है, तू सोच नहीं सकता. बस कमल हसन तो उसके बाद बहुत गंदा गंदा पिक्चर बनाया है.
See, I watched one of the movie like in theater. Comedy करके मैं comedy मतलब comedy movie था, but I couldn't enjoy. तो I think unintentional बोल सकते हैं. I think आफ्ताब शिवदासानी का movie था. I forgot. I think परेश रावल, काफी लोग थे, but we couldn't, I think, get past even movie break. I forgot the name. It was horrible.
I'll tell you a good. While you're thinking, I'll tell you a good comedy movie I like. Love के लिए कुछ भी करेगा. I love that movie.
Oh, that I love. फरदीन खान and
असलम भाई, वो उसका जॉनी लीवर कर रहा है.
cutting चाय. Yeah, absolutely.
I have to find that movie out. I think first movie जो मतलब ऐसा था कि मतलब मैं थिएटर में, and that too after hearing the Raja Sen's review, rediff.com पे आता था, उसने 3 स्टार दिया था. मतलब उसने तो मतलब उसके बाद horrible movie था. I couldn't even like literally मैं निकल गया.
राजा सेन तो मुझे घटिया लगता था. वो तो he is a blind शाहरुख खान fan. वो शाहरुख खान का मूवीज को मस्त रेटिंग देता था. रेडिफ का बंदा था ना राजा सेन.
Yeah, correct. But ये कौन सा मूवी था? Let me just find that out now.
तो मुझे पता आफ्ताब था और कौन है. I'll tell you the name.
ज्वलिन, तुम मुंबई एक्सप्रेस देखो, तुम्हें बहुत मजा आएगा.
तू मुंबई एक्सप्रेस वे में ब्लाइंड फोल्ड होकर गाड़ी चलाने लगेगा वो देखने के बाद.
नहीं, बहुत मजा आएगा तुम्हें. इट्स अ वेरी गुड मूवी, वेरी नाइस.
अनइंटेंशनली फनी, लाइक आई सेड. अरे तू इतनी बार देखा, उसका डायलॉग क्या था मुंबई एक्सप्रेस का? यार एक डायलॉग था जो रिपीट होता था बार बार.
नहीं, उसमें जो घोड़ा काट देता था हाथ को, वो भी बहुत कितना फनी था. घोड़ा पेपर.
हाँ, बट एक चीज अच्छा है, मुंबई एक्सप्रेस तू देख लेगा तो उसके बाद यू कैन वॉच एनी मूवी.
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा था यार. मुंबई एक्सप्रेस तो बहुत ही अच्छा था. इट वाज वेरी गुड.
अरे क्या था? बंडू तप्पी
बंडू तप्पी
था ना उसमें.
बंडू तप्पी.
वही तो बोले डायलॉग था.
दैट इज सच अ जीनियस. कितना अच्छा था वो. बंडू तप्पी. वो जब अपने होशो हवास में आता है, बोलता है बंडू तप्पी. रोको बंडू तप्पी.
उसमें
क्या
मतलब हिमाचल का कोई टॉप चीज वो ले रहा था उस टाइम पे कमल हसन, हिमाचल के वादियों से।
मनाली
मनाली, हाँ मनाली से
तो
चीज ले रहा
आई
था।
फाउंड आउट लाइक नेम ऑफ मूवी, देताली करके मूवी था, देताली।
हाँ देखा है वो है ना रितेश और वो।
हाँ हॉरिबल मूवी था, मतलब आई
हॉरिबल,
लाइक
बहुत हॉरिबल मूवी। हाँ
देताली।
आयशा टाकिया है, रितेश देशमुख, आफ्ताब एंड रिमी सेन। देख
हाँ नहीं नहीं,
कितना movie देखा मैंने, इतना घटिया पिक्चर भी मैंने देखा है।
अरे मैंने थिएटर में जाके देखा था इसलिए बहुत मुझे
हाँ
याद
तो
आ रहा है
फिर तो
आपको।
हाँ तो
बट शुक्र मना तूने अच्छे पिक्चर भी देखे हैं जैसे मुंबई एक्सप्रेस।
नहीं देखा ना मुंबई एक्सप्रेस, बच
नहीं
गया।
नहीं देखा है, नहीं देखा है, गूगल ही करना पड़ेगा अभी
तू
कौन सा
मुंबई
मुंबई।
एक्सप्रेस अगर तू थिएटर में देखता कभी, एकदम मल्टीप्लेक्स में एकदम वो फर्स्ट क्लास वाला टिकट खरीद के तू थिएटर के ओनर को मार देता।
बट ये हिंदी
थप्पड़
मूवी
वप्पड़
नहीं
मार
होगा, इसलिए हिंदी मूवी नहीं लग रहा
देता।
है
नहीं
ये।
हिंदी मूवी है, हिंदी मूवी है। विजय राज लग रहा है, हिंदी मूवी है, दोनों
बहुत
लैंग्वेज में है।
बहुत बहुत अच्छा मूवी है, बहुत ही अच्छा है, इतना अच्छा है ना कि मजा आ जाएगा
मेरी वाइफ शीज वो सोमू का सुन के कि मुंबई एक्सप्रेस अच्छी मूवी है, वो वहां से शी इज मेकिंग एग्जैस्परेटिंग नॉइजेस
Yeah, Mumbai
बैकग्राउंड।
Express. So I'm not
मेरी
a
वाइफ
Kamal
तो
Hassan fan
अगर मैंने
anyway.
मुंबई एक्सप्रेस चला दिया तो मेरी वाइफ तो टीवी तोड़ देगी 200%।
इतना अच्छा लगेगा, मतलब खुशी से पागल होके।
तू अकेला देखना, अपने वाइफ को मत दिखाना, तेरे को बहुत गाली पड़ेगी फिर।
Even फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी, maybe it's a unintentional comedy या फिर I think it was ahead of its time जो था वो मूवी में।
हाँ
मैंने
मतलब
देखा नहीं है।
इतना हेड ऑफ द टाइम था कि अभी भी वो टाइम पे आया नहीं है, और 200
नहीं
साल
मतलब अभी
बाद
तो
वो relevant होगा शायद।
so
You know, not everybody can make movies like Mumbai Express, like quality cinema.
so
ऐसा तो नहीं सब बना सकते।
correct. All the Shah Rukh Khan's movie, correct? Under like after like exception of one or all are like unintentional
नहीं बट
comedies.
एक इंटेंशनल कॉमेडी मुझे अच्छा लगा था, फ्लॉप था, बादशाह। आई रियली लाइक बादशाह।
अरे वो तो अच्छा
अच्छा तो
मूवी था,
amazing है यार।
वो भी थिएटर में देखा, सोच लाइक
नहीं
कितने
बादशाह
मैंने
मैंने थिएटर में देखा है बादशाह भी।
देखा है।
तो
बट बादशाह अच्छा था, बट इट डिडंट रन ना। तभी शाहरुख खान का इंटरव्यू भी सुनना, उसने बोला था देखो मेरे को तुम बोलते हो हम लोग रिपीट करते, बट जब मैं डिफरेंट मूवी करता हूँ तो तुम लोग वो चलाते नहीं हो पिक्चर। दिल से किया, दिल से फ्लॉप हो गया, बादशाह किया कॉमेडी, वो फ्लॉप हो गया।
अनुष्का शर्मा के साथ के सब मूवी खराब है
बादशाह
शाहरुख
was one
के।
of the best
हाँ
movies I liked, like बहुत
शाहरुख खान के अनुष्का शर्मा के साथ के सब मूवी बहुत घटिया है।
आई एग्री। मतलब उन घटिया में से आई थिंक रब दे बना दी जोड़ी वाज पॉसिबली बेटर।
अनइंटेंशनल कॉमेडी है वो, हॉरिबल था वो, मतलब वो
उसका
यंग
सेकंड
शाहरुख।
हाफ अनटॉलरेबल था, सेकंड
या
हाफ।
वही बोल रहा हूँ।
नहीं फर्स्ट हाफ मुझे ठीक लगा था, सेकंड हाफ वाज हॉरिबल। बट उसके बाद जो बनाया उसने, मतलब अब तक ये जान इज वन ऑफ माय वर्स्ट मूवीज। एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स आई थॉट दे शाहरुख कुड नॉट सरपास दैट, एंड देन ही डिड जीरो।
बट आई गिव अ बेनिफिट ऑफ डाउट, करेगा आनंद एल राय ने बनाई थी तो ही प्रॉब्ली जो भी बड़े बड़े डायरेक्टर शाहरुख खान के साथ काम करते हैं ना, डिजास्टर करते हैं। आई हैव सीन दैट। और
इम्तियाज डिड द सेम राइट।
या सो इसलिए मुझे डर लगता है जब हिरानी वांट्स टू
अभी
वर्क विद
हिरानी कर
शाहरुख
रहा है
खान।
ना, तो ही इज वर्किंग विद शाहरुख।
फ्लॉप उसका फर्स्ट फ्लॉप आएगा अभी, बिकॉज ही इज वर्किंग विद शाहरुख खान। आई एम टेलिंग यू, इज नॉट अ लकी मैस्कॉट फॉर एनी ऑफ द बिग डायरेक्टर्स।
हिरानी का मूवी, हिरानी इज possibly one of my all-time favorite directors.
उसने 3-4 मूवी किए अभी तक। इट्स नॉट लाइक उसने 15-20 कर दिए, देन यू कैन से सो,
But
करेक्ट।
एक से एक
हाँ
मूवी है ना।
अग्री बट लॉन्जिटिविटी क्या, व्हेन यू डू मोर मूवीज विल
नहीं
कम टू नो।
मुझे और एक recent directors में I like सुजीत सरकार, I really like सुजीत सरकार is a great director. And then I like Diwakar. Again, you know, they happen to be Bengalis, but they make good movies also.
अनुभव सिन्हा भी अच्छा बना रहा है आजकल।
अनुभव सिन्हा का हाँ लेटली अच्छा अनुभव सिन्हा ने, याद करो, रावण बनाया है, कैश बनाया है उसने।
तो गलती होने के बाद उसने सुधारी है, which I like it, but then
हाँ,
people make good movies and then they go with disaster।
I
वो मुझे
agree.
पसंद
उसने
नहीं।
आर्टिकल 15 बनाया, then he made दूसरा वाला मुल्क।
पिंक बनाया, पिंक बनाया उसने।
पिंक इज नॉट अनुभव सिन्हा।
तो
पिंक
सुजीत सरकार है क्या? तो थप्पड़ बनाया, चल थप्पड़ है।
अभी लेटली इज बीन डूइंग गुड मूवी।
थप्पड़ तो मैं बोर हो गया यार बहुत।
नहीं मुझे वो भी पसंद है, मुझे सुजय घोष भी पसंद है। सुजय घोष has made one of my favorite all time thrillers, कहानी।
हाँ कहानी
वो अभी ब्रह्मास्त्र कर रहा है, क्या कर रहा है वो?
नहीं सुजय घोष तो अभी वो कर रहा है बॉब बिस्वास का जो वो है। बॉब बिस्वास इस कहानी में जो वो सीरियल किलर था उसका मूवी बना रहा है ना अभिषेक बच्चन इज बॉब बिस्वास।
एराम नोक्को नो एराम एराम कुत्तो।
हाँ जो वो शाश्वत ने जो रोल किया था
हाँ
तो उसका मूवी बना रहा है। पर सुजय घोष का मुझे आई थिंक इज अ गुड डायरेक्टर। उसने वो बनाया अमिताभ बच्चन और तापसी का बदला।
बदला, बट वो भी हॉलीवुड का कॉपी लग रहा है वो
स्पेनिश
मूवी।
स्पेनिश मूवी का कॉपी है
स्पेनिश
वो।
में
वो
okay.
स्पेनिश मूवी भी है इसमें नेटफ्लिक्स में है वो ओरिजिनल स्पेनिश।
हम लोग ने इरफान खान की एक भी मूवी नहीं बोले हिंदी मीडियम, बहुत सारे अच्छे हैं बट आई थिंक लेटेस्ट में
लाइफ इन अ मेट्रो, लाइफ इन अ मेट्रो में उसका रोल एक्चुअली अगेन प्रॉब्लम है इरफान का मूवी में उसने बहुत अच्छा कॉमेडी पीकू में भी अच्छे बट ही इट्स नॉट अ कॉमेडी मूवी एज सच। उसने अच्छा कॉमेडी किया उसमें जैसे लाइफ इन अ मेट्रो में आई लव्ड हिज रोल।
अनुराग बासु अगेन।
हाँ लाइफ इन अ मेट्रो में इरफान का रोल वाज रियली गुड।
मुझे तो
अनुराग
लगता है
बासु भी अप
लेकिन
एंड डाउन है, अगर उसने काइट बनाई थी, कैसे काइट बना सकता है
बहुत
आदमी?
घटिया
I don't
बहुत।
understand. Yeah.
Kites में it seems राकेश रोशन interfered big time with that because otherwise देखो उसका मूवीज जैसे उसका तो फ्लॉप मूवी भी मुझे जग्गा जासूस का कॉन्सेप्ट तो अच्छा लगा द वे मुझे ओनली प्रॉब्लम वाज वो उसने जो डायलॉग को म्यूजिक में डाल दिया ना दैट आई थिंक वो डाइजेस्ट नहीं हुआ लोगों को।
बहुत इंडल्जेंट डायरेक्टर है वो लाइक he can't stop himself doing something which is like
right
beyond certain point, correct? So
I liked his Ludo also. I loved his Ludo.
लूडो तो अच्छा है, लूडो तो काफी अच्छा
लूडो
है।
अच्छा है बर्फी अच्छा है। तो अनुराग बासु का कुछ वो पुराना मूवी भी उसका गैंगस्टर था गैंगस्टर मर्डर वो मूवीज बनाया था उसका। आई थिंक वही काइट्स वाज अ आई थिंक अ बिग ब्लैक मार्क ऑन हिज नेम।
कॉमेडी तो मैं याद करता हूँ ऑफ लेट आई ओनली रिमेम्बर अक्षय कुमार मूवी फॉर लास्ट 5 years। आई डोंट सी एनीवन एल्स डूइंग कॉमेडी एंड ऑब्वियसली ये हाउसफुल वाले, बट उसमें भी अक्षय कुमार ही है, लाइक इट्स आउट एंड आउट अक्षय कुमार एवरीवेयर। मतलब कितना भी फालतू मूवी रहेगा आई थिंक ही पुल्स इट ऑफ एवरी टाइम। सिंग इज ब्लिंग बहुत बेकार मूवी है बट स्टिल चला था 100 करोड़।
वो पिक्चर मैं देख नहीं पाया सिंग इज ब्लिंग मैंने 10-15
बट स्टिल
मिनट अनबेरेबल। आई
it
नो
made
इट
100
मेड
crore,
मनी
yeah.
इट
It's
मेड
a
मनी
horrible movie but 100 crore, yeah.
इट मेड मनी या
Good
अक्षय
news, the
कुमार
good news में कुछ था नहीं, still it made lot of money. It's a comedy movie.
200 करोड़ बनाया गुड न्यूज ने तो 100 भी नहीं इट
Yeah,
मेड 200 करोड़।
correct. So मैंने तो थिएटर में देखी थी। So
अक्षय कुमार का अभी आया था कुछ उसने कुछ 2100 करोड़ बनाया लास्ट 3 साल में समथिंग लाइक दैट।
बना रहेगा। So, because he produces his movies nowadays and his every movie crosses 100 crore at least. Yeah.
डिफरेंस ये है ना कि ये लोग जैसे ये आमिर वगैरह एक मूवी करते हैं 2-3 साल में वो 300 करोड़ बनाता है। अक्षय कुमार एवरी ईयर करता है वो 150 करोड़ एवरेज बनाता है 6 पिक्चर करता है वो 1000 करोड़ बनाता है एक साल में।
Correct.
Anyway guys I think we covered a gamut of movies. I think Bollywood over the years has made quite a few memorable comedy movies. I think directors like Raju Hirani, these guys need to also make more comedy movies because I think in these stressful times, comedy movies is always I think welcome. And I think there is in recent times there is definite dearth of good comedy movies.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. With that, I think we can wrap up today's session. Thanks again for joining. We'll do many more interesting movie music related topics in subsequent weeks. Also, we have another channel called Cricketing Shenanigans where we talk cricket. Going forward, we'll try to do alternate. We'll do 1 week we'll do a cricket video cast, and then we'll do a movies music video cast the next week. So if you're subscribing to this channel, please also go to the other channel called Cricketing Shenanigans. And if you like the content, please subscribe to that channel.
All right, Jwalin, nice meeting you. Bye, Abhishek.
Thank you, Jwalin. Thanks so much.
Likewise, yeah.
Talk to you soon. And Jwalin, we'll do. I mean, of course, we'll have to do a post-mortem of the Sydney Test next
Oh
weekend.
man, I am more than willing to do it actually. Anyway, yeah, it was good time actually. Nice talking to you guys. Bye-bye.
Good fun. And Jolene, I mean, feel free to, next time we do, feel free to invite your wife if she's interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we will do it actually. We should have at least a few more folks joining in to have a diverse views, correct? I
Yes.
think
And I think you know, a lady's point of view would be very interesting, because you know, a lot of times guys seem to have, you know, similar point of views. I think a different perspective would be really nice.
Correct. I think family situation. I think otherwise, I think she would have joined today. But anyway, I think we will have her actually in the next session for sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, sure.
All right, guys.
All right, take
Thank
care,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Take care.